Hey guys, Sharpend here. In this video we're going to talk about how I made my song Flickering. So this song was the first single to come out of my 4 Steps to the Jungle EP. This song basically came to be when I was in a vacation with my family. We were sitting near a lake. It was at sunset, and you could see the other side of the lake. You could see all of the buildings, lights flickering, and that sparked the initial idea. So I took out my phone's piano app and just started playing melodies until I found something I liked, which is this harp melody. And then when I got back home, I started building an instrumental for this. It was before I thought I'd be singing in this song, but then I got introduced into guitar pedals thanks to a good friend of mine, William, which is also How Great Were the Robins. He showed me a channel called Knobs, which talks a lot about guitar pedals and all of that, and it convinced me to buy my first guitar pedal, which is this one. It's called Spatial Delivery by Earthquaker Devices, and it's basically a WAV filter, but it also has a special mode that I'm going to talk about later. So I'll just bring my guitar. So normally my guitar would sound something like this. But once I enable this pedal, you can get some really nice wah sounds. And this basically sparked the entire idea for this song to be more than instrumental. I just started playing these wah chords and recording them using this amp. It's one I got from free from Facebook, I think, and it basically just amplifies. It does nothing more, but it worked. And then when you get to the chorus of Flickering, you can also hear a guitar solo with this pedal. Just so you can hear the difference without this pedal, it sounds like this. So it adds a lot of funkiness and some fun to this song, and the cool thing about this one is that it also has an additional mode called Sample and Hold, and this mode just does some crazy shit. So let me just play a few chords. So as you can hear, it sounds really crazy, and I've decided to just play a lot of E-pianos and some improvisers with my guitar, using this setting to just get a lot of tiny ear candy moments into the song and make it a bit more interesting. So that's pretty much it for the instruments that I've used outside of my DAW. And now we're going to take a look inside FL Studio and inside the project files and how I basically build the song from an idea into a complete track. So now we're inside the first project file for Flickering. This is when I started as an instrumental. I took the harp that I mentioned. It sounds like this. And since at first I thought it would be an instrumental track, I just started adding things and melodies on top. Like all of these things, something like this as well. So basically I was just experimenting with a lot of different melodies, and then came the idea after writing Not Lost and Found and singing on it that maybe I should sing in this one too. So I started writing lyrics. I wrote about how sometimes when you're feeling a certain way about someone or a certain experience, even if it was good, sometimes you don't want to go back to that stage in your life. So you just sort of reminisce about it, but you don't really want to necessarily do it all over again. And I had to include flickering, so we have the line "All I was flickering." And let's hear it. These are the demo vocals that I'm almost certain like 90% of them also ended up on the final version. So yeah, these are the vocals, and then I had this section. And you can hear this synth that also went into the final song. And then once I had these vocals, I was thinking maybe I should make this like a Monster Cat song, like something with really fun vocals and then some really nice drop, and just repeat it all over again. So I made a different project file just for that. So here's the Monster Cat attempt project file. As you can see, it's faster than the first project file by quite a lot. I went outside and watched it fade. Basically, I was trying to just like make an upbeat version that could have a drop. So I just took like some very niche feature bass chords and like vocal chops and did just that. And yeah, it didn't really work out, but at least I got like, for example, from the vocal chops, I got this tiny offing, which really worked well for the complete song in the end. And I also made a bridge. What I did is I took different chords. I let an E-piano play them. And then I wrote a really nice harp on top of that. It sounds like this. And then I tried to improvise a bridge, and I came up with this really long improvisation, which I liked but didn't end up in the original. It sounded something like this. I know it's not the same. Maybe you need to stay. I know it's not okay. I know you're not okay. I want to hear you say, I want you, I want you, I want you. Want you. So as you can hear, it's very, very auto-tuned, but eventually what I took from it is the harp and the bridge chords, so I got something out of it. And in order to make it a bit more electronic, I decided I need to experiment with the spatial delivery pedal a lot more, so I just played a lot of improvs with it, and I got some really weird results. I'll play you a few examples. So basically I just played a lot of notes in the scale, or maybe just some chords, and then eventually in the final project I've used all of these as tiny ear candy moments to fill up empty spaces to create something more interesting. So that's pretty much it for the Monster Cat project, and now I'm going to open up the final project and show you how I turned this into a complete song. So yeah, now we're inside the final project for Flickering, As you can see, it's a bit of a big one, but we can go through it and we'll be fine. So let's start with the intro. So we have some drum loop I found from Splice. It sounds great, so I just used it as it is. I've added a snap to it, and I've added a second kick just to add some more rhythm. And then we have some wah guitars using the pedal. And we have some wahs that I recorded really far away from the amp, so it sounds like a room. And then we have the bass guitar, which is just my electric guitar being processed by the wah pedal and pitched down an octave. This sound, I hate this sound because it sounds so good with the drums. But it took me like ages to get it right. You can see all of these effects and you can see I got mad. Like without the effects it sounds like this. And then all of the effects are just there to like add some transient and make it a bit more obvious in speakers that aren't very sub heavy, but doing this while not destroying the sound and making it sound super distorted. And then when I mixed the track, it took like ages and ages to get it right, so I hate and love this sound. Here's the R that I mentioned from the vocal chops from the Monster Cat project. And it works really well with my acapella. And as for this part, the only thing that I didn't cover are the ear candy. So these are just like tiny moments that I got using the sample and hold function on my guitar pedal. And it just gives you some really weird alien moments. And then to transition into the next part, I've used some waves recording from when we were near that lake when I started writing the song. Basically, I'm modulating a low pass filter to open up. So it's sort of like a white noise transition, but it's with waves. And I also took a synth from the pre-chorus parts and used some automation to bring it in and then back down. This is after I blurred it by quite a lot, so that it sounds sort of like when you have these blurry pre-vocal sounds. So something like that. So for this part, we have this really cool synth sound. This one is also from the original project, so I kept that sound because I liked it. It sort of reminds me as if I was making a Drake song. I don't know, it just sounds like that. And I've added some ambience, specifically of a forest fire. And I've used this sound. This is a Reese bass. Let's hear it. Yeah, this one. So I'm slowly bringing back all of the low frequencies. And since it slides a lot, it sort of reminds me of Katy Perry's Roar, where she has this very powerful Reese that sort of builds up in strength until the chorus hits. So something similar to that. And I have some reverb snaps. Let's see if there's anything else. There's a backing synth, which sounds very cute, and some backing strings, which are low passed, I think. So let's remove that. Yes. So as you can hear, they're playing the same melody as the synths. They're just there to add some more realistic texture. And then for the chorus, we have the intro up that started the entire idea. We have the same bass sound, the same wah. We have the same drums, and we have our guitar solo. It sounded very dry, so I've added a lot of effects. I've added some slap delay, which is a delay on a very short time. So it sounds sort of like the sound is bouncing off the walls and back to you. Some dimension expanding, some room reverb, and some flutterbird, which adds some nice vibrato to the sound, and 2 OTTs. Oh, so this one is just guitar amplifier, and this one is an OTT. I've used OTT just to compress the slap delay and the room reverb to sound more prominent in the sound. Like that. And I think that's pretty much it for this part. We have like some reversed sounds that lead us into the next section. And we have this sound which I absolutely love, like the record scratch. It sounds so good and it just fits perfectly. And for this section, the second verse, I've decided to switch things up a bit by recording a bass without a wah. So it sounds like this instead. And I've high-passed it a bit, so then when you bring back the wah bass, you see it just hits very hard together. And I think it sounds really cool. And I've also added some improvised B melody. It's just some notes I played on a vibrato sine wave, and then like I reversed this one, and this one I kept as it was. So it just adds some nice variation to this section. Okay. And I really love just like introducing the drums on the snare, like that. It happens in pop songs all of the time, so I've decided I have to do it too. And I've introduced some more drum sounds, so now we have this one as well. And we have this one. So both of these are from Splice. I've just used some pitch modulation to sort of make it feel like it's being played on a tape, and it goes from being really slow to the right rhythm really fast. And together they work really well. And now we have some more ear candy. It's just me improvising on the pentatonic scale, I think on my e-piano. Again, using the spatial delivery plugin. I just love this one, it's so good. And yeah, I think that's it for this part. Oh, we have the intro up that is being introduced at the second part of the second verse. I'm using a sub drop that goes up to sort of like bring it in, so like that. And as for the second pre-chorus, we still have, I think, the water sound. Yeah, here it is, the same water transition. But now we have our drums from before, and they're being low passed and distorted by quite a bit to sound a bit more big while still being low passed. And the low pass slowly opens up until you reach this point where they go quiet because there's a drum fill. And notice how different these two sound. Like, this sounds very heavy and strong, while this sounds very like more acoustic, less like supposed to be hard hitting. And that's why it works so good when you go from there to the second chorus. It sort of brings you a moment of relief from all of the bass to sort of make the second chorus hit a lot harder. And let's see, what else do we have here. So we have a few more synths, I think. So we have this one, which is a more subdued version of the previous one. We have a bass guitar that I played compared to the Reese bass on the first pre-chorus. I wanted to have something a bit more upbeat, so I just played my electric guitar and pitched it down an octave. And once you add like a guitar amplifier simulator, it works great. And I have some power chords that I played on my guitar. This is the main synth that we had in the first pre-chorus, and we have a lot of other sounds here as well. we have a lot more strings in this section. I'm going to disable the low pass so we can hear them better. It sounds really good in my opinion, especially with all of the synths. And we have some wave sounds that I use the gate to make them sound rhythmic. And let's see if there's anything else. Yeah, I think that this is it. So basically I've just like added a few more synths to make this section a bit more full and beefy. And when the drum fill happens, I'm cutting out all of the synths to make it sound very abrupt. So it's just my capella and this main synth. And notice how I'm making it sound like it's being played from an old speaker. This is again on purpose to make the second chorus hit a bit harder when you remove all of the bass from a section before it. And so now that we're in the second chorus, we have some additional stuff. We have the intro ARP at a higher volume. We have this synth. It plays a few notes. It's just like a sine wave with tremolo. So it sounds like a whistle, and there's two melodies. And I think it sounds really nice and adds a small addition. We also have the same B melody from before. And for this section, we also have like a crashing sound. There's a lot of like river sounds and rain sounds and bells and stuff that build up and up to here, and then instead of hitting on the kick of the second part of the chorus, they hit on the snare. So it sounds really nice in my opinion. You see, you can hear all of these chime sounds going off. I think it adds to the sort of magical feeling of this song. And for the second part, I've also added my voice singing the same melody. Let's see if we can find it. Yeah, it's here. So let's hear it a bit better. So yeah, it just adds a nice little addition, and I'm also adding all of the additional drums from the second verse, like this one, and this one as well, and some more ear candy. And then once we get to the bridge, we're also using the record scratch to go there. So the cool thing about the bridge is that I kept the same chords from the original bridge. I kept the ARP. I really like this ARP sound. I think it sounds amazing. And I've recorded some guitar on top of that. I've recorded my electric guitar. Let's find it. Yeah, here it is. I'm going to disable all the effects. So the cool thing about this recording is that it sounds somewhat like an acoustic guitar as well. And that's because I sat somewhere and I put my amp directly in front of me. And then I put my microphone just in between, and it can record on both sides. I have it here, it's my Zoom. It can record from this side and from that side. So when you have the guitar here and the amp here, when you record from both of these sides, you get just, or mostly the amplified sound, and mostly just like the strings vibrating without any amplification, since they're very close to the guitar. So you get a more of an acoustic sound. This is the amped version. You can see there aren't too many high-end frequencies. And this is the version that is very close to the guitar strings without any amplification. So together it sounds really nice in my opinion. Once you add a lot of chorus and doublers, it fits the style a bit better, since it's still sort of like a semi-electronic pop song. And yeah, we have some B melodies here as well. Nothing different. We also have was, but with different chords, since this section has a different chord from the rest of the song, a different chord progression. And in order to transition, I'm just like cutting everything in here. I'm setting a bandpass filter on my voice to make it sound a bit different. And I'm using some parrots that I recorded near my grandma's house, and I'm just like modulating the pitch. I'm telling it to go down near the end, and I'm repeating the same section 2 times so you get this sound. And it sounds so cool, like. And so in this section I took the same chords of the bridge. The bridge was being played by an E-piano. So I took the same thing and I just split it into very tiny chord parts. And all of the high notes are just some melodies I improvised on top. And once I added some beat crushing, it just sounded great. So for this section, I wanted it to be very sort of like 8-bit and very dry. So in order to do that, I got rid of, for example, the very chorused out guitars and the big arp sounds because it's very delayed. So instead, I just like took a very minimalistic version of it. So since it's so much in the back, it still has a lot of delay, but it doesn't sound too dominant in this part, so it works a lot better. So basically I'm leaving out the bass, the wah guitars, the same drums, the arp is a lot more in the back, and there's no chorus guitars here. There are more drums here, and there's the shaker loop and this loop. And altogether it sounds a lot more focused and centered, since there aren't a lot of reverbed out sounds. Another cool thing that I did here is the same thing I did in the second verse. You have this sort of like bass going down and up, and then all of the sparkly sounds coming in. I really like this thing, like I'm using this sound and a cymbal and this ambience, and it just works so well with the theme of the song. And then what I did is I took all of the backing vocals and I kept them the same way. So let's go to the vocals real quick. So here's the main vocal. It's being bandpassed in this section. Let's see it. This one, yeah. Compared to, but all of the backing vocals sound exactly the same, which gives a very nice contrast and a very necessary high-end hiss to the original one. And what I did is the more the bridge continues, the more fucked up the vocals start to sound. I'm basically just increasing the amount of beat crushing that happens. And then when it ends, like at the end of the bar, I'm removing all of the beat crushing and just keeping this tiny breath. So it sort of sounds, I think that since the song is about flickering lights, like lights that are probably going to die out soon, when you have the vocals slowly like degrading in quality, and it sounds sort of like a Street Fighter character slowly dying when you have like this 8-bit effect. So I think it just fits very perfectly with like the theme of the song and everything. And I think that that's pretty much it production wise. Yeah, I think that is pretty much it production wise, composition wise, mostly arranging. If you have any questions about specific sounds that you want me to talk about from this, please let me know and I might make a video on them, since going through all the sounds like that will take ages. But I hope that you found this video informational, and I hope you liked the song, and go stream it. Go stream the entire EP, and I'll see you in the next video.